Hey everyone, welcome back to the last part of the live session for speaking module, that is IELTS Speaking Analysis Part 3. And it is being hosted by us, myself, Noel,
I am Parvati.
and we are from the IELTS department of Let's Upgrade Language Academy. Now, we're going to have a detailed analysis about Part 3 today, that is the follow-up questions. In the previous days, we had done analysis of part 2 as well as part 1, and we had also done the analysis of the criteria. Okay, so if you guys have any doubts regarding part 2 and part 1 and the criteria, please do refer to our previous videos. I hope that it will be really helpful for you guys. Please feel free to check it out. Okay, now let's start. So as I said, part 3 of speaking is follow-up question, and it lasts about 4 to 5 minutes, and you probably will get around 4 to 7 questions. Here, what the main aim is that the topic of part 2 will be discussed in a much more detailed way, because there might be certain things that will be left unclear by many students. That might not be always the case, but still, if the examiner needs a bit more clarification, he or they will definitely ask. And it does not always rely on your speaking. It's like, if the examiner wants to know more things about the topic which you have not said, you'll be definitely asked more follow-up questions. Okay. There is a common fear among students that if they don't perform well in part 2, they will be asked a lot more questions. There is nothing like that. Okay. It is according to actually the examiner's mood, I would say. Yeah. So you need not fear if you get a lot of questions. It is just according to the examiner. Okay. There might be cases when you get just 2 questions and the examiner stops there. Okay, and there might be cases when the examiner asks a lot of questions, but please make sure that you are not tensed in any manner. Okay. Now, as I told you guys, the theme of part 2 will be discussed in a much more detailed way, and you guys have to predict, analyze, and compare some of the situations that are thrown to us. Okay. So in the last video, in the last live session, we had actually gone through cue card, which was
important thing that you lost.
yes, something important that you lost, and we had already done the session on that. And today we will be doing the follow-up questions of exactly that cue card. Okay, so that you guys can get an overall understanding of what we mean, right? Okay. Now, as I told you, we have to predict, analyze, and compare. And you guys have to give general opinions. You can give your personal opinions, but you have to stick on to general opinions. Like, if you're asked, what do you think about something, this, or what do you think about that? That might be a different case. That's why I mentioned this or that. Okay. Now, if you're asked like that, you can give your own opinions, right? Yeah, and if you're not asked like that, you have to give general opinions. Okay. Make sure that you give general opinions most of the time. Only when you are said, what do you think about this, or when you're asked, what do you think about this, then only you can give personal. Make sure of that. Now, please don't give very short answers. The examiners expect you speak about 5 to 6 sentences. Even if it is 4 to 5 sentences, is okay. But another thing is that you have to provide examples. If you provide examples for the same, you will not have any difficulty in completing that target of 4 to 5 sentences or 5 to 6 sentences. Okay. So make sure that you attempt it correctly. Now, as we had mentioned in the previous live sessions, never go off topic. Make sure that you guys never go off topic. That is really important. Never go off topic, and use a lot of vocabulary, use a lot of idioms, use your expressions and all. That will be really helpful for you. Do that. Now, one thing that you have to avoid is to avoid repetition. Okay, why man? Why should we avoid repetition?
Yeah, we have a criteria that's the lexical resources. We already mentioned it in our previous sections. So, if you use the words more than once, it will may sometimes affect your band score also. Avoid the repetition of words.
Attempt each and every question. Right? Attempt each and every question. Why man?
Because yeah, that's also a part of that affects your band score. If you answer all of the questions, that may sometimes the examiner get impressed by that, and yeah, the things that you are confident while answering your question. So that's also makes your improve your band score.
Another thing is that we have to have a lot of development, a lot of ideas. Development means ideas. Okay. You should have a lot of ideas so that you are able to present it clearly. Right. So if you guys don't have any ideas when you are attempting your part 3 or when you are attempting any part, that's it. But if you have ideas, you'll be able to manage it somehow. So that is the main thing. Generalize, learn more general knowledge, like acquire more general knowledge, so that even if you're faced with a difficult situation, you'll be able to handle it properly. Right? Now, we would like to give you some tips so that you can prepare for speaking correctly. Okay. And after that, we'll be having the follow-up session also. Okay. Now, if you guys have any doubts, please feel free to ask us in the comment box. We're going live on YouTube and Facebook, so please feel free to ask us about it. And yes, we're here to clear your doubts. Okay. Now, the first tip that personally I have, is to make sure that you practice English every day. You have to speak in English every day. Unless and until you communicate in English, there is no point in kind of sweating about you, or not, sweating and telling that you're not getting enough words, you're not getting enough ideas. So the first thing that you have to do is practice in English. Speak in English, communicate in English. I've already told in the last live session that some people say that, oh, അവര് ഭയങ്കര ജാടയാണ്, അവരെ നമ്മളെ കൂടെ കൂട്ടാൻ കൊള്ളത്തില്ല, അവൻ ഫുൾ ടൈം ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ സംസാരിക്കുള്ളൂ. We don't need to care about that. Seriously. Like, if we want to improve our language, we should. Just find the right people for that. That's it. You have to, kind of communicate in English every day so that you can improve your vocabulary, everything, improve every criteria, including grammar, lexical resources, fluency, and pronunciation. Okay. Now, a lot of people sweat a lot about pronunciation in the beginning itself. First of all, I would not say that you should perfect your English, but then practice English a lot more and then give importance to word pronunciation. Right? Okay. Now, ma'am, do you have any tips so that our students can perform well?
In the follow-up sections, if you have, if you can note more than one point, to answer that question, yeah, you can also mention that too and elaborate in a two to three sentence, so that you can easily attain that the limit, like we already mentioned, that the 4 to 5 sentence. If you are not getting any point like that, you have to mention the examples.
Now, shall we have a recap and then I guess we can move on? Okay?
Sure.
Now, as we told you, there are 3 parts. Part 1 is
Warm-up sessions,
part 2 is
cue card,
and part 3 is
follow-up questions.
what do we do in part 1, ma'am?
Part 1 is mainly the introductory section. The examiner may ask you about your personal details, like your full name and where you come from, and are you a student or working, that kinds of thing, and also some questions related to general topics.
Now, what do we deal with in part 2?
In part 2, which is a cue card, you will get a question and you have 3 to 4 guiding questions. So you have to answer that particular questions, including the answers of the guiding questions. and you have to answer it. You have a 1 minute preparation time, and you have to talk about this for 2 minutes.
Now, now what is part 3?
Part 3 is a follow-up question, as we already said that. Yeah, it's about maybe it's just related to that of the cue card. Sometimes, yeah, you may ask questions that is entirely different from the topic of the cue card. So in that follow-up question, you have to answer it in a 5 to 6 or 4 to 5 sentence, and you have to add some examples, relevant or general examples, while answering the follow-up session.
Now, man, what are the criteria? What are the four criteria? I guess we can go through that once more, right? Four criteria. The first one is fluency and coherence. What do you mean by fluency?
You're without humming and making any fillers there, you have to answer the questions fluently.
Now, what is coherence? I guess I can answer that. Coherence means the things that you've said fluently, you have to have a logical connection also. Okay, so that is the meaning of coherence, having a logical connection with whatever you have said in the speaking test. Okay, and fluency and coherence are graded together. Now, which is the next one?
Of course, in speaking, you have to mention the pronunciation also. That's a very important part in.
So what we basically mean by that is not that you guys should have heavy English accents or heavy American accents. That's not it. Okay, and many of the times we are stereotyped by our typical Indian accent. I find annoying. Do you find it annoying, man? Yeah, you just have to speak English normally. You don't need to put on heavy accents. Just focus on your pronunciation. Okay. And the thing is that the word pronunciation spelling is Pronountiation, and it is pronounced as pronunciation. That itself, many people, make a mistake in that. So mistakes are okay, but repetition, making mistakes again and again, that is not okay. Okay, so when you guys speak in English, you guys have to practice in English, and we'll see. Okay. And the next criteria is lexical resources. What is lexical resources?
We have to add enough vocabs and other idioms or phrases while we are speaking.
And the last criteria is grammatical range and accuracy. This checks the things that we have said till now, or the things that we have said in speaking, is grammatically correct, accurate, or not. Okay. And it also checks our grammatical range. Grammatical range in the sense, it checks the examiner checks whether we are, following a simple sentence structure, or compound structure, or complex sentence structure, and things like that. We have a lot of sentence structures in grammar, and yeah, that is what is being assessed in all of this. Now, the accuracy, things, the sentence construction that you have, that the sentences that you have constructed, is it correct, or is it slightly wrong, or is it completely wrong? That is being analyzed. And I guess that is it. That is the recap of part 1, part 2, part 3, as well as our, criteria. So, you guys, if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask about it in the comment box. Okay, we'll clear your doubts, any of it, according to our best of our knowledge. Okay. And now, before you guys ask away questions, we're gonna have a mock session of part 3, that is the follow-up questions. Okay. So, shall we start, ma'am? Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, the cue card is something important that you lost, and I'm gonna ask follow-up questions based on that. What kind of people may lose things often?
People who have a bad memory and are unorganized in their life tend to lose things more often, and sometimes if they are in a hurry or if they are irresponsible also, there are more chances of being lost the items that they belong.
What can we do to prevent losing important things?
Yes, we can do a lot of things, and I think the most important thing that we can do is to we should try to keep the things organized. Like instead of throwing it here and there, we have to place a fix a place in order to keep that particular item. For example, I think most of the people may lose their car keys. So in that case, yeah, we can set a key holder so that we can put that key into that place so that we will never lose that item.
Okay. What would you do if you saw something valuable but it didn't belong to you on the streets?
If I find something that doesn't belong to me, firstly I'll try to find out the owner of that thing. If I was unable to find that the owner, I'll just hand over the thing to the police station so that the people can collect it from there. Or sometimes I may just donate the things to people.
What kind of things have you lost so far?
I'm an organized person. I haven't lost much things in my life, but there are some situations and unpredictable situations that happened in my life, so that I lost many things in my life, such as like recently told that last year lost my smartphone, and apart from that, I lost my wallet and water bottle or lunch box also when I was studying.
Okay, so that was the end of this mock speaking session based on follow-up questions. Now, if you guys have any doubts, please feel free to ask to us in the comment box right now. Guys, you're waiting. Come on. Question one. No doubts? Oh, I guess they've understood everything. Okay. I guess we'll wait for some. Guys, if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask to us in the box. And yeah, we're here to clear your doubts. Okay, Vipin Wilson has asked a question. Before the speaking starts, can we just speak with the interlocutor casually? Actually, I would never suggest you to do that because there are some people who likes that, but majority of the times the interlocutors might not like that. So please avoid doing that. Please avoid trying to have a friendly chat with the examiner. This is an exam. So I would never suggest that you do it. Any other questions? Okay, so I guess nobody has any doubts. Yeah, so we hope that we'll be back with another live session soon. Stay tuned till next Friday for another update. That's it. That's it. It's me, Noel, signing off.
Parvati, that's a big language academy.
That's it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.